How's everyone doing? Man, I made the big time with the catwalk. I've never done a stage like this. So I'm Andrew Franklin. I'm out of Houston, Texas. Who all here is from Texas? All right, my kind of people. So Justin's a good friend of mine, been my friend basically since he's been in diapers, which was about 5 years ago. So he told me today he wanted me to talk on how we've been scaling our business, our real estate sales team out of Houston. My dad started our business in 1983. So before I was born, we were selling real estate in Houston. It used to be the Jimmy Franklin team. That's my dad. I had to change that name to the Franklin team when we took over. Who here at their fourth grade career day said they wanted to be a realtor? So John, only John. Me either. I grew up and my dad tried to talk me out of being a real estate agent, even though he was one and my mom was his first assistant. So both my parents have been brokers for 30 plus years. So I started my career in investment banking on Wall Street. So San Francisco, New York City, did all mergers and acquisitions, never going to do the family business. My dad didn't graduate college. I went to a fancy school on the East Coast. Was not going to be a realtor, right? I was better than being a realtor. That's what my dad always put in my head. And then lo and behold, 6 years of being an investment banker and just not the thing I wanted to do. I decided to get my license January of 2014. 2013, my dad was selling about 400 to 500 deals a year out of Houston, back before, a real estate agent book, and he had a team not by design, just because he created a team, he was too busy. So a lot of people ask me, how do you guys sell so much real estate? And I said, well, just get a parent that can hand you a business that sells 500 homes a year and then don't screw it up. So that's sort of my design. Today, our team, we have about 25 agents out of Houston, sold 1,700 homes last year for just over $600 million. We've been the number one team at eXp worldwide 3 out of the 4 years. Last year, we lost to one of the speakers, actually, jackass Dan Beer. But we got the number 2 title, and the company keeps growing, and our team, we're continuing to try to scale. And one of the coolest things we've been able to do is take our sales business and create a lot of other ancillary businesses. So I created a title company 5 years ago. We now have 4 locations in Houston. 2 years ago, we created a hard money lending business that now has 8 different warehouse banks, about $20 million of capacity we can lend in that 2-year period. And we created a real estate investing business as well, and bought about 20 homes in the last 9 months, just starting to turn on marketing, contracted 2 houses this week. So one of the coolest things I love about real estate is all the things you can do when you start to get the things Justin's talking about. It's funny, I have a section in here that's just about leverage, so you're going to hear a lot of the same themes. So this is my cheap way to get she's so cute. Everyone needs a why. It doesn't have to be a family member. It can be, trying to prove someone wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that, me getting married in the last year and having a 10-month-old and having 2 awesome stepdaughters, that's my why. I've been ambitious since I was a little kid, but my why changed when this happened in the last 2 years. And I look at my day a lot differently. Before, I was going on, 4 happy hours a week to network and work until 8, 9 o'clock and working every weekend because I wanted to grind super hard. And so my ambition and my goals haven't gotten less. It just now looks a lot different that I have Charlie, my baby girl, in my life. And yes, that is a bobblehead of me. I did not buy that myself. Kevin Kaufman and Fred Weaver got that. So I'm not that guy that gets his own bobblehead, just for the record. So today, I'm going to talk about some of the core principles that we have used to grow our business. It's, John Kitchens, who's going to speak later, is my real estate coach. I've had 4 or 5 real estate coaches that have truly changed my life, and he's the one doing that right now. And we were talking about this presentation, and I said, man, nothing I have to say is really rocket science. Like it really truly isn't. And John said, that's the awesome thing. It's simple, and you can put that stuff into play. And if they implement any of the stuff you tell them about that you're doing, it will change their business and change their life. And so if you think I'm going to have some magic pill today, I'm not. There is no magic pill. No business runs on a magic pill. But there's some core principles that you can implement that will not only change your business, but change the way you operate that business. So the first one is mindset. In our business in real estate, I was driving up here to Dallas, and one of my agents called me. I referred him a client and a seller, and they got 8 showings in the first week, and the house hadn't sold in the Hill Country. We do a little bit of business out there, and he was so pissed off. He was like, "This mother." Like they're like, "What are you doing to sell my house? It's been 8 days," and he's all, "I just want to warn you because you referred me this person, and you're probably going to get a call." And so in our business, it is hard to sometimes keep a positive attitude because we do get to deal with a lot of people that are on an emotional roller coaster. And so every day what I try to do is I try to think of something in that beginning of the day, knowing that I might have to have some hard conversations with an employee, a team member, a client. It's hard sometimes, but this is a huge part. It's just remaining positive when you have those conversations. They're not really the end of the world if someone's pissed off at you because their house hasn't sold yet. It's okay. And so don't let that take you into the next meeting you have. You just have to really remain positive through all the stuff we have to deal with because it's going to change the actions you have in that next meeting. This has been an absolute game changer for me. And I have to attribute this, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to attribute to someone that I've learned. I've been in a room like this or a mastermind, and I've got a golden nugget that I've taken away. And this one I'll attribute to Kevin Coffin and Fred Weaver, who are my good friends and sponsors at EXP. Before when we were at Rematch for 32 years, and this has nothing to do with EXP, but we were at Rematch for 32 years, and we just sort of minded our own business. We were selling a lot of real estate, but we had never attended a conference like this. It was just not what we did. And then when I started coaching with Kevin and Fred, I started to see that if I put myself in rooms with people like yourself, I could learn stuff and then I could implement. And so I always, when I get an invite to a conference or I have a meeting where someone's willing to share an opportunity and I trust that person or I respect them, I'm always curious and open-minded. And it sounds small, but if I didn't have this mindset, I don't believe I would have a title company, a hard money lending business, or a real estate investing business. All of that happened because I put myself in a room like this, and then I started saying, okay, maybe that person is pretty smart. Maybe I should actually listen to what they have to say. And then lo and behold, I have 4 other businesses that are doing very well just because I copied someone else in a room like this. Real estate is R&D, rip off and duplicate. And so that is something I live by. Nothing I say here today or nothing I do in my business is anything that was an original thought from me, but I'm very good at copying and being open-minded. So extreme ownership. When you're a leader and you're running a business, people say shit rolls downhill, and I think really a good leader, shit rolls uphill. And so a lot of times you're going to have to take ownership of something that maybe wasn't your fault. But when you're looking at these powerful leaders running big companies that you look up to, are they ones that are always blaming other people, or are they taking ownership for it? Always. You don't see these guys, the Elon Musk of the world and these people running Fortune 500 companies. When something goes wrong, they own it. And so why are we not doing the same thing? This is a big one, and you have to swallow your pride sometimes and just eat shit, unfortunately. If you don't have passion for what you do every single day, it's going to be a long life, right? We work more than we do anything else. And so if you're not passionate about what you're doing, I would say you should rethink what you are going to do every day. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be stuff that you guys don't want to do, but if you don't have this fire in your belly every single day, maybe you need to figure out a different role in your business or figure out why you're not passionate. So that's a big one for me. Every single day I'm like, okay, am I enjoying what I'm doing, or is this just something that I'm doing because I'm supposed to be doing it? Next thing I want to talk about is leadership. And I think a lot of what the next three sections I'm going to say is leadership, systems, and leverage. They all sort of collide with each other, which is, as I was putting this together, it was a powerful revelation is that if you don't do all three, you're going to have a tough time running a big business. So this one, Justin spoke for an hour straight of delegation. In my opinion, he might take it to a little bit of an extreme, but it's important. If you are not empowering the people in your world to take on business at all, delegation is a huge part. Every time I do a task or take a meeting, I'm constantly thinking, is someone else better in my world to do this? Is my time better to be elsewhere? Who here has read the book Rocket Fuel or Traction, Gino Wickman? If you haven't read this, I would strongly recommend writing this down. This is one of those books that every time I speak, I talk about. I don't know it's because I don't read a lot or because it's that impactful for our business. No, seriously, it's been a super impactful book for us. It talks about the relationship between a visionary and an integrator. And so I think a lot of people in this room probably think they're visionaries of their business and they're the ones driving the growth. But if you don't have that integrator, whether it be, Justin talks about Joel, I have Carrie Bond in my life that she's now our president of our company. A lot of what we were able to accomplish in the last 12 months was because we finally found our integrator and gave that integrator the ability and the responsibility to start putting our vision into action. And with that same thing, has anyone heard of or been on EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System? So the person that wrote Rocket Fuel and Traction was a guy named Gino Wickman. EOS has absolutely changed our entire life. And just like what I'm talking about, they're simple tools. So it's how you handle a meeting, how you talk with your leadership team, how you people analyze, what core values do you have in your business. We hired an EOS implementer, and so we pay $6,000 a day to meet with our EOS implementer 4 times a year, and they completely put our whole business on EOS. So every tool that EOS has, we now operate it. And if you look at other teams around the country, Dan Beer, Kyle Whistle, they're all on EOS. So if you don't know what that is, I recommend at least finding out, because you don't have to hire the implementer to put your business on EOS. It makes it a lot easier. But this has been a powerful thing for us. It's changed a lot of our business and our structure and really how we lead our organization. So Justin talks about this in a roundabout way, and this is another thing that I'm always trying to R&D, rip off, duplicate. Like all these big companies have these awesome leadership teams, and we were here just 3 years ago, and we've been in business for 37 years, our sales team, and we never had any leadership team. We had ourselves, and we were in production, and if you really want to scale a business like Justin talks about, you need to have a top-notch leadership team. And so we've been able to, in that 2-year period, we've hired a president we never had, we hired a VP of operations we never had, we hired a VP of marketing we never had, and we hired a sales manager we never had. And so that's something that's scary, right? That's a lot of expenses. But if you look at other teams selling a lot of real estate, and if that's your goal, you're going to have a leadership team that's not in production. And it's changed everything for our business. We now actually recruit. We actually have onboarding. We actually have team meetings. We actually have accountability. And all of that is because we now have a leadership team that is driving that growth for us. So this is the big one for us. When we bought the business from my dad, my dad had 4 agents. We went to 10 agents pretty quickly, and then we stayed at 10 agents. And the big reason for that is we didn't have that leadership team like I mentioned, but we also didn't have any system to onboard agents. And honestly, we didn't have a system to recruit agents. And so we finally created something that you could bring an agent on the team and they would go through the exact same process every single time. Because if you're the one bringing on a new agent to your real estate sales team or any business and you're having to go through and sit through everything with them every single time, that is not a scalable business. And so the way we've done it is we shot 20 different video modules. And you can, again, rip off from your brokerage, wherever you're at, shoot them yourself so it's coming from you, and then put it on one of those LMS software systems. And the first 2 weeks, every agent goes through the same thing. And so this is a really hard task, but this is one of the bigger things that has really allowed us to go from 10 to 25 agents, and now we're going to go from 25 to 50 by the end of the year because we're not having to do the heavy lifting. The first 90 days of an agent on your team, that's going to make or break them. They're going to either leave or they're going to stick with you if they're successful in that 90-day period. And a big piece of that is onboarding and training. You have to get them into production, and you have to get them in your culture immediately. With onboarding, recruiting, I was always this belief. We were a team at RE/MAX with 10 agents selling, 600, 700 homes, and I was this guy that would, quietly be proud that, man, we got average 50, 60 deals an agent, and we're only going to bring on top producers. But if you want to scale a business, that is not a scalable business. You lose 2 people, and 20% goes out the door. And so all the big teams out there, they have some kind of system around recruiting. We hired someone that had a recruiting course. His name is Brett Tanner. Paid $5,000 for a 12-week course, and we just implemented it. We got 100 applications on Indeed in the first 30 days. So is that going to bring more predictability to my business when I'm going to be able to onboard automatically, recruit automatically to agents on the team? And that's the only way we're going to be able to go from 25 to 50 in a 6-month period, because we now have a system to recruit. You don't have to hire Brett Tanner or do any class, but you need some recurring agent conversations that can really grow your business. So documented processes. This is one of those things that I would have never said we would have ever done without a leadership team. I was not going to be the person that was going to write down job descriptions or write down, how we did everything. But this is another thing that you cannot scale if every time you bring a transaction coordinator on and they leave you and you're having to retrain. And so for us, we're putting everything else into a online platform for our agents, not only on the onboarding side, but our admin team. And so it's one of those processes that is absolutely miserable to do, but it, again, brings you to have this scalable business. And so this, for us, has taken us about 6 months to do, but it's really making us where if we lose someone, it's not the end of the world. Because the smaller you are as a real estate team, the more it's going to hurt you when you lose someone. But if you have these processes and you have a way to recruit more talent, it's not as big of a deal when you do lose people. Because guess what? Every big team, they lose people and there's retention issues, and we work hard to do it. But it's a lot of 1099 salespeople. It's just going to be the way it happens. And so if you have something that will, be documented and repeatable, it really changes the game for you. The last thing on systems, it's something we all know about, right? There's going to be people up here as, why aren't you guys doing video, and why don't you have a plan around social media? So true, and we were that way. We knew all these things, but we didn't have a plan. Who here has like an actual content calendar that they actually follow? So a lot of you guys. That wasn't us. Kudos to you guys, because we always were like, social media is the way of the future. We need to shoot more video. Now we have a 60-day plan that our VP of Marketing put out where we know exactly where we're going to post the next 60 days, whether it be Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. And so this has really, our following, since we had our VP of Marketing, we went from 1,100 followers to 19,000 in a 90-day period because of a content strategy. And the content is decent, it's good. I think people can get value from it, but it's not special. It's just we're consistent on it. And if you don't put it down and have a calendar and a plan, you're never going to be consistent on it. So the last thing is leverage. One of the things EOS talks about is they talk about right people, right seats. So they talk about getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and then getting the right people in the right seats. And this was a thing that we always thought our business, we had good people, and we do. We've had people with us for a long time, and hopefully they'll be here a lot longer. But we didn't people analyze our people, and that's an EOS tool that they talk about, where if you have 5 core values you want to run your business out of, you need to be making sure every individual in your team, whether they're a 1099 agent or an admin, you're doing people analyzing of them to see if they fit. And you're going to have to, sometimes what you're going to do is you're going to make tough decisions when you do that, but your whole organization, when you get the wrong person off the bus, your whole organization takes a deep breath. And some of those are hard conversations. We let go of someone that was 20 years in our business, and then everyone on the team in the office thanked us for it. They've been with us for 20 years. And so no one likes to let people go, but if you want to get out of your way and scale a business, you need the right people in the right seats. So this is the thing Justin talked about. It says, get your leadership team away from doing those $15 to $20 an hour stuff. But I would say you need to do that for your agents as well. I have one of my agents in the room, Shelly Cooley. She sold 100 homes last year on her own, maybe 120. And what we did for her is we wanted to get her leverage. So we have a whole admin team that can help her, but we got her own assistant because we want her to go from 100 to 150. And so if you're looking at what your leadership and your best people are doing and they're bogged down in $15 to $20 an hour stuff, they're not only going to get burnt out, but you're stopping them from growing. And so we are constantly looking at our best people. How can we get them more leverage? How can we get their life back so they're happier? And so this is one thing that everyone talks about, but they rarely end up doing it for their people. It's all about, the rainmaker or the owner, but you need to start thinking about those things for your team members as well. I've got to give the Sphere Rocket VA a plug here. I was one of those guys where when I was looking at VAs, I was the guy that said, that team over there has to have a VA because they can't afford a stateside employee, and that was such a scarcity mindset. And when we hired our first VA, and I only did it because of the relationship, me and Justin going back in diapers kind of thing, and I was like, I'll give it a try, right? It's cheap. We've had one VA for 3 years. We've had another VA for 2 years. We then hired the VA for 2 years. We hired his wife. I didn't have to pay Justin for that one, by the way. And now we're going, our real estate investing business, we are hiring 3 more. Justin just had a partnership with a guy that's scaling his real estate investing wholesale business, and they've rolled out callers. So we've never had the prospecting, but they've been absolutely a game changer for us. Like we have one VA that, there's a lot of natural disasters in the Philippines, and we had one the other day that was like sending us a picture of their building on fire and saying, hey, I still have internet, I'll still work. We're like, get out of there with your family. Like, you don't have to work. But that's how reliable our VAs, and obviously it's just like anything else with people, you might have to go through some. We haven't had to go through any. We've had the same 3 since day one, we hired 1, then 2, and then 3. And so if you haven't been a believer in the VA, sort of lifestyle, I would definitely encourage you to do that because it's been great for our business. So I just have a quick favor to ask. If I gave any value today, like I said, we're trying to build our social media following. We are putting some good content out that you guys can R&D, rip off, and duplicate. I just ask you to follow us on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. So what I'll leave you here today is, everyone has to have a why. You need to know what you want to leave your legacy. Mine, you see my baby girl Char in my office. I want to build a business that I can leave to her someday. And so I challenge you guys, if you do one thing from my speech, is figure out what your why is and what you want to leave your legacy to be. So thank you for your time.